Hi class, I wanted to talk a little bit today about the course and the homework and the tool that we're going to use and basically give you a heads up on it. The first thing I want to talk about this class is exactly what it is. Not to diss the class or anything, but it's perhaps not the most engaging of the programming classes because we're not actually creating software. We are thinking, we're designing. And honestly, a lot of programmers would rather be doing the dirty work of writing programs and doing code and testing code. And this is that planning part ahead of time where you read the instructions and you gather the requirements and you figure out what you're going to do before you actually start doing it. It's the part that makes managers nervous, customers questioning, and the programmers bored. But we have to do it because, of course, the more we plan, the better we do. The old thing, measure twice, cut once. And that's what we're doing here. We're going to look at some of the common tools used. In an earlier class, we learned how to do IPO charts and flow charts. And those are great. They help you understand programming. But that's really not the way we work anymore. Programs don't run in a linear sequence. Instead, they're graphical user interfaces where we can do things out of order. Whenever you start Word, there's no next thing you have to do. You don't enter a name and a quantity like we do in some of our console programs. Instead, they can open a file, they can start typing, they can do a host of things. So we need tools that adequately represent how we work now in programming. So this is one of the tools that will do that by doing UML. UML is a modeling language that is based upon 3 earlier models where the authors got together and came up with just one. Some of the things you have to realize is that a modeling language, there's no one answer. It's like art. So you can do something, and if it is clear and leads to understanding the requirements and how you intend to design it, then it's correct. There's no one right way and one wrong way of doing it. So consequently, when I grade this, any two of you may have completely different designs that tell the same story, in which case they're both right. So a lot of times you're going to say, well, Professor Myers, how do I know the right way to do this? And my answer is, does it tell the correct story? We're going to use Rational to do this. Rational's a long-lived product that is now owned by IBM. It's based on Eclipse. Those of you who have taken Java will recognize the interface. IBM owns the Eclipse now, so they built Rational into it. But you can use Visio. If you want to use Visio for this class, you can use Visio for this class. In fact, when I show you some of the homeworks, I may use both of them just to show you it can be done. There's no tool you have to use. We can do it on a whiteboard if we really have to. The modeling language is independent to the tools that we use to draw it. Just like a flowchart. There's no one tool for doing flowcharts. So that's where we're at. I am going to show you Rational, how to load it up tonight, since the instructions in the course shell may not be entirely correct. There are a few differences between the video and my particular interface, so I'll show you how I get into it. You can see here is our lab, and we have some links to Citrix. Citrix, you may all recall from other classes, you basically can go to lab.devry.edu. You can see it up here. Once you go to the site, you log in with your regular D number and your regular password that you use for getting into your mydevry.edu. Once you get inside, you'll log in and you'll actually be on kind of a favorites page that looks like this. And if you have anything loaded from an earlier class, it will be here. Otherwise, the video tells you to go to apps and scroll down until you find the rational interface, which I and some other students here could not find. So what we want to do to start it is actually come here to the desktops. And when you go to the desktop, you will see Rational Architect. So click on Rational Architect and it will start a virtual desktop, which I already have loaded because it takes forever to load. So be patient. To completely get to this screen probably took my system close to 5 minutes. And I have Google Fiber with a gigabyte transfer speed and a very high-end computer. So I'm a big gamer. All right. So what I want to do now that I'm into the environment, I'm ready to start the Rational software. You can see there's a developer for System Z, which I have no idea what that is. So we'll want to go to the IBM Rational Software Architect. This interface is used by a couple of other courses as well. So I'm going to fire this up, and this one will take a little bit of time too. So I will creatively cut this video. There we go. It popped up. What I want to do now is the first time when you bring this up, you'll note that you won't have any projects here. I think this is left over from something I was doing in another class. I'm going to, I can go ahead and delete an entire project and its contents like that if you don't want to keep something in there. So yours should, it may ask you where you want to store your workspace the first time. The workspace is basically where on disk it's going to be stored. Now remember, we're on a virtual desktop, which is actually located, I believe, in Denver, Colorado. I can bring up the switch workspace again, and you can see here I'm saving it to CIS339. We can browse and look for another location. And this is good for you guys to do probably. You'll notice that here's my D number, and then this is where you're going to probably want to go. Make sure, don't go to your name, go to your D number. And then under my D number, you can see I've got a bunch of classes. These are the various classes I teach and have used Eclipse for. So you'll probably want to make a new folder and go to CIS339, and you may even want a subfolder under that. I did not. So I went in OK, and it's going to restart the Rational software. And the first time it starts, you may have a screen in the background that, oh, that reappeared again. So I guess it didn't delete it. Anyway, the screen in the background may be, it's kind of a decorative screen, which you can click on the tab and close it. I am going to create a new project at this point, just like we would do in Eclipse. And I basically want to say, hey, I want a new project. And what kind of project? Well, I'm going to do a UML project. Look, we can even do Java if we wanted to. I need a project name, and I'm just going to call this one example 1. And it says, well, what do you want to create? And you can create a blank model because all the tools that you'll need will actually be in there. But there are other ones that you will use, specifically like analysis models. Incidentally, there's nothing you have to do with this in week 1. So there's nothing you're producing other than just getting in here and playing with it. And you want to do that. You want to get in, you want to play with it, you want to make sure you can create a project. You may want to try messing around and creating some various UML diagrams. Go out to the web and research UML and UML tutorials, and maybe look at some YouTube videos. I mean, this is the internet world now, right? Everything we need to know, we carry in our pockets on that phone, which is the entire sum of human knowledge and history is available to us at any time, any place now, pretty much.